Ready to renounce QAnon.
That's me.
Yes. The title of the show is Finish Him. I just went with Mortal Kombat without the cake supposed. Kind of thought that was a little bit weird. We are getting into. I mean, we should show off both of our T-shirts.
Yeah. Corey went with the olive drab, and I went with the basic black.
It's just soup for our family, and you guys are our family.
Yes,
we love to.
You are the soup beneath our wings.
All right, let's do this thing.
Do it.
Okay.
Does that piece of music have a name?
Coffee song.
Coffee song. It's nice. I like it.
It doesn't. It's just the thing that I did.
Nice.
So I just scrolled. It took me that entire time to scroll back to yesterday at 6 or 7, where our message thread started for today. Yeah, so I think the first thing we started talking about after, I sent you the picture of the Trump Tower in Atlantic City, which is going to be imploded in January, which is really, really funny. And the Cook Political Report moving the Senate races in Texas and Georgia and Alaska towards Democrats. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch predicts a landslide for Biden because he's got a pulse. Chris Christie. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Chris Christie says he spent 7 days in the ICU with COVID. Shocking literally no one. But we've got a bunch of videos and stuff to show you guys. One of them, this is actually a Lincoln Project one that
we got gratitude.
Buddy. Oh yeah, thank you. I don't know what the frick I'm doing at all. So I'm grateful for Greg reminding me to be grateful. At the beginning of the show. I mean, I'll come up with another one, but right off the bat. Yep.
I am grateful for Savannah Guthrie.
Okay. All right. I'm here for that.
Who apparently last night laid the hammer on Donald J. Trump for his repeated and dangerous lies. And it really, really angered Trump's base. So I'm grateful to her for that, because the things that they're saying about how she went after him are the same things they say about me when I poke them in the eye with factual sticks.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And so they're mad that, now she's debating him. This isn't a town hall. This is an attack. It's an ambush.
We should be allowed to say whatever we want. Fuck you. How about that?
Yeah. So I'm grateful for Savannah Guthrie, an actual news person. And I didn't watch, by the way, so we'll get to that in a while. But yeah.
I didn't watch either of them, but it was great to. So I guess I'm grateful for the 20 minutes that apparently Rachel Maddow did without a script, off the cuff, listing in exquisite detail the number of dangerous lies and obfuscations that the president had in his hour-long thing. And then Lawrence went on to cover what had happened with the Biden town hall. And of course I catch those as podcasts in the morning. And it's awesome to be able to do that, because I already spent way too much time and energy, definitely for sure not paying attention to politics until midnight last night, getting like 50 posts in our Greg's and my message thread. I really do. Like, I try not to pay attention to politics so I can do all the podcasts in the morning, because otherwise I don't sleep. And I didn't sleep. But I think it was Rika's point. She's grateful it's almost November. Me too. And I'm really, 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 really grateful for everybody who's doing mail-in balloting. And I'm really, really, really grateful for everybody who's early voting, especially in Travis and Harris counties in Texas, where you're freaking the fuck out of Republicans.
Texas is going to be Texas has the potential to be what ends the Trump era.
Hold.
I'd be really super happy if it was Florida, but
I have to one up you there.
Yes.
Trump is a symptom of a very, very sick Republican Party. I think Texas is the end of them.
Yeah.
It's finished because it's not just winning the presidential race in Texas. It's winning the legislature in Texas. And then it's redrawing the lines. And then it's getting 3 more Congress people from Texas. And that, and making it a state that loves to vote. Right. And which they're apparently just decided, hey, well, in our towns, we run the vote. So everyone can now please go fuck yourselves. Like that, like the numbers are, what's the most understated that I can be? Encouraging.
There. And I want to make sure that I say this. It makes me teary-eyed to see all those people lined up because I'm proud as fuck of them, but I'm so angry that that's what they have to do to vote. Those blue cities that are having to do that. And let's remind ourselves that it's really cool that people are this motivated to vote, but it's really shitty that this is what it takes. That's awful. My ballot comes in the mail, I fill it out, I drop it off, I'm done. And the idea of having to wait in line 8, 10, 12 hours to vote would discourage me. And I'm super proud of all the people that are doing that, but I'm really angry that that's what they have to do. It's just,
yeah. What's my initial reaction to this message from Corey was instantaneous. I would like to hear yours first, please.
If Biden wins Florida and Texas, Trump will claim it was tampered with. He's going to do that no matter what. If Biden wins one state, Trump's going to argue that it was fixed in that state. That's going to be.
And here's the thing: if we win Texas, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah,
because Texas and the counties within Texas get to certify their own vote. You know, if we win there, that's interesting. And honestly, if we win Texas, it means that there is the voter enthusiasm gap. I think they keep saying there's like these magical, super Trump supporting people or whatever, but we need to remember that those super Trump supporting assholes we see as loud psychos all over the place, that didn't win an election. He won a squeaker fucking election, right? On people that were like, I don't really like Hillary Clinton, so I'll just kind of go and do this thing or whatever.
There was a lot of anti-Hillary vote.
Especially how the independents swung, right?
And wrong as that is, and let me, let's say clearly, we know that was wrong.
Yeah, it is. The Republicans have been successfully screwing over her legacy for, checks notes 35 years or something. So anyway, I'm experiencing a lot of gratitude this morning. Sylvester said grateful my drop-off ballot was counted. I'm actually really grateful for the systems where we can actually see that has taken place.
Right.
That actually going on in Miami as well. My buddy Brad voted, and he could see that his thing had gone all the way through, and it's ready to be tabulated. It's like good to go. So Savannah Guthrie was a former litigator, which is fantastic. Again, I didn't watch that because I can't listen to that shithead speak. We might have some clips or whatever from various things, but I just can't do it anymore.
Well, let's just not think for a minute, though, that everybody that watched that debate has the same view of how it went that we have, because I will tell you that the Trump base, the few of them that are still on my friends list, were outraged at the disrespectful nature of asking the president questions and expecting honest responses. They were outraged.
Yeah. My only interest in gauging how people who aren't hardcore Democrats think about that is who are the potential getters for Trump who is legitimately fucked, right? And did any of that lying and obfuscation and craziness get him any votes?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think
so.
Well,
you had a tweet that you posted from what's his name, Frank Muntz? Is that his name?
Frank Luntz. Yeah,
Frank Luntz.
Yeah,
basically saying the more my undecideds are saying the more he talks, the worse it gets.
And that's been a consistent thing every time he opens his fucking mouth, right?
Right.
And like I keep thinking like the whole Sleepy Joe thing. They keep like, oh, like Sleepy Joe, and then he talks in like he talks in like a very sometimes kind of, I don't want to say sedate, but he's just calm, right?
Right.
And like America's so fucked up right now.
Like he's
You
literally sitting at your dinner table with you.
Right, like,
And that regional politics is the strongest of strong suits for him. It's exactly
yeah,
who he is. He's never been a shouter.
yeah. And it just like, when he starts talking about, climate change or epidemiology or whatever, and he's not being interrupted, he can actually finish, not complete sentences, but complete coherent paragraphs about science.
Right.
Where like Trump can't get through 2 fucking words without lying.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I watched 20 seconds of Trump last night in real time. And it was the 20 seconds where he said, you can't hardly call it Obamacare anymore because we got rid of the individual mandate. And I was like, first of all, it's you fuckers that started calling it Obamacare.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, that's all I could take of that. So I flipped over to watch Joe Biden. I watched about 40 minutes of the Joe Biden town hall. And, he's not perfect. He like the transgender answer was kind of, but it's clear that he means well and that he's sincere. And I don't want anybody to forget that it was Joe Biden that pushed Barack Obama on marriage equality. And he told a story about his dad. His dad, he got out of the car one time at the town pool and there was a male couple and they kissed and they hugged and Joe was a little freaked out and his dad said, they love each other. That's what matters. Joe Biden's dad would have been the same age as my great grandparents or my grandparents. That's an incredibly, incredibly forward-looking view for someone in the 40s to have held. So I thought that was a moment, right? But it was that. It was Joe Biden talking rationally. It's like the teacher sent the bully to the principal's office, and the person who had been shouted over got to speak. That's what that town hall felt like to me, and I was really really glad to see it. And you're right, Michael Silvestri, teachable and willing to learn. And that is one of the most important things for me. It's one of the reasons I didn't really like Al Gore, because Al Gore was convinced he was the smartest guy in the room, and I wasn't sure he was ever going to listen to anybody. And I was a little more conservative now than I am now, but same thing. I don't want to be lectured at by a president. I want to make sure that the president is listening and consensus building. And I think we saw a lot of that from Joe Biden. Rob Houston reminds us that Joe Biden stayed at the hall for at least 45 minutes that I know of and gave more full answers. See, like there's a couple times during the town hall where he said, I can't answer the whole thing right now, but if you'll stick around. And he did. He went around and answered like an hour's worth of questions after the town hall stopped last night. Pretty fucking amazing.
Cher's convinced we should all watch the entire hour because apparently got his feet held to the fire. Yay. Again, listening to his voice makes me want to like literally smash my head into a brick wall. But I mean, Cher is very rarely wrong. So I'll take that under advisement. I do have one video I want to play just real quick.
Yeah.
Because it's really funny.
Yeah, I've got one as well. If it's not the same one.
It's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not. Let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger. Well, that didn't work.
You can't do the full screen button?
It could, but then it will take away because I only have one screen.
I got you.
I won't be able to see anything else, but you'll get the idea.
Okay.
I'm the son of the President of the United States. He's one of the most unethical humans in political history. Criminal prostitution, human trafficking rings, threats of extortion, business meetings, Russia collusion, public service, cocaine. The corruption extends beyond ethical concerns. It's potentially criminal. My father was threatening to withhold U.S. aid to Ukraine by effectively blackmailing the Ukrainian government with taxpayer money. My father leveraged his political power to sell out the United States of America to our enemies and enrich himself. Cocaine. Do you know who was bought and paid for by the Kremlin? The President of the United States, who also happened to be one of Vladimir Putin's closest associates. The dark and complex interlacings of corruption within the family has now been exposed. We need someone who will put the interests of the American people over the interests of themselves. And that person is Vice President Joe Biden. Cocaine.
So, yeah. I do want to talk about the Hunter Biden like Giuliani news drop just because.
Oh yeah, I got a cool little nugget in that one too.
Yeah, our Republican friends are all over this, right? And again, like, how many swing voters are there? Can they be turned, and will this turn them? And the answer is not very many and none. Like, this Hunter Biden shit is like a giant go fuck yourself nothing burger. They're literally fighting the last war. I think it was in the Independent. They basically summed up exactly how I feel about this. Like, this is how you know they've lost. They're not losing. They've lost. They're drawing out all this shit. And did you want to talk about the Giuliani stuff? Because I mean, that goes back to when we first started getting back into this whole thing. We were following the Mueller report before it was the Mueller report, because the president of the United States stood up on a fucking TV stage and said, Russia, if you're listening, please illegally steal some emails so that we can get the emails from my opponent. Right. But there's no collusion. Whatever. It's fine. And we're finding out now that there's absolutely no wrongdoing. We knew this before that, but there's no wrongdoing in the fact that a bunch of Trump associates got caught up in international spying because they were talking to the fucking Russian.
Yeah, the White House was warned last year that Giuliani was being drawn into a Russian op. And did nothing to stop that or discourage it. So there's a couple of things about the Hunter Biden laptop story that are interesting to me. Number one, there's already a federal investigation underway about whether that laptop was planted by Russian assets or by a foreign power, which is going to inevitably end up to be Russia. In the email in question, where the executive from Burisma says, "Thank you for the opportunity to meet with your father," meaning Joe Biden. First of all, two of his senior campaign people were his chief of staff and vice chief of staff when he was the vice president. And they immediately went to his calendar, which they still hold, his official calendar, and flipped through it, went, yeah, there's absolutely no indication that Joe Biden ever met with this guy in any official capacity. And furthermore, you know who did actually meet with this Burisma executive? Gus Bilirakis, my congressman. So the guy they're accusing of meeting with Joe Biden for nefarious purposes literally met with your elected congressman if you live in the same district as me in Pasco County, Florida. Gus Bilirakis met with that guy. And they're trying to paint this as some horrible slant against Joe Biden. Well, if it's a problem meeting with that guy from Burisma in the time frame in question, a member of Congress that votes on funding bills for things like energy policy, that's probably a bigger deal. Just saying. So that's what I wanted to bring up about that, which is in surfing through that. You know who did? Yeah, Gus Bilirakis met with that guy.
Sure, plant. Speaking of plant,
plant. Oh, that's just all caps.
Yeah. In case exactly. Yeah, I mean that, like, and I think we're at the point now where there is a receptive audience for this stuff. They're not going to vote for us. They were never going to vote for us. They're literally like fighting a battle that doesn't exist anymore. And we don't need them.
I'll tell you what, if Mike Pompeo keeps releasing Hillary's emails, I think she's going to lose.
I think you're right. I think she's going to lose this election so hard. It's so sad. Fucking clowns. Like, it's just ridiculous.
We'll get there, Cher. I'm fed up with Florida's elected officials. I can't say much more, but I have a good feeling about some things, and we have our shot at both senators in the next election. So, yeah, I think I think a change is going to come. So,
I'm going to say something today that I didn't know if I was going to say or not.
Uh-oh.
I think the polls might be wrong.
Oh shit.
For Biden.
I see what you did there. Yeah, Casey Marion brought up in the comments here about the Midwest and student voting, and it's looking really like a lot of young people are showing up. And that's good. That's good. Hillary 2020.
That's good shit.
Yeah, we're feeling a little froggy, and I know that's risky. I know it's dangerous to be enthusiastic in this moment, but I kind of am.
The turnout. So Cher wanted, assuming she's yelling at me to say that plant. I mean, with the nodding lady at the Trump thing, like, I didn't see it, but I heard about it. That seemed pretty crazy, where she just was like wrecking her head. So as far as like my take on that, when you look at why the polls were wrong last time, right? There's a few different things. The polls were wrong because the polls count likely voters. That's just kind of a rule. It has been very predictive in the past of election results, and quite frankly, was predictive of the last one as well, right? Like, looking back at it, the polls, were just outside the margin of error.
They were much more tied to landline phones in 2016 than they are now. That's another kind of change.
A little bit less so. That's been going away since. I think the last time that was interesting was 2012 for Obama, because I was tracking that a lot. Like that's where a lot of the turnout over performance for Obama came from that. It's still there. It's just a lot less. So when I'm looking at the turnout numbers in Texas, that the turnout numbers are not different elsewhere, right? Like the turnout, and again, like we're slated to win Colorado anyway, but I think the turnout there is extremely indicative. The number of new registered voters is completely and totally, awesome in many states. Apparently in Florida, like the Republicans got some as well. But hearing the reports last time of the people that were sort of in the swing vote category, a lot of them were like the people like Luntz and people like reporters going in and talking to people were saying like there's a lot of enthusiasm for Hillary Clinton among women, but there's a lot of people that don't like her too, right? There was this constant barrage of like both sidesism and like
she's
maybe
a terrible candidate. She's not
right.
Nobody's enthusiastic,
right? So that's kind of what the race swung on in a lot of ways. Now, women are up. Like Biden is up with women by 18 points. That's fucking stupid. That's completely stupid. Like that never happens, right? And it's for obvious reasons, because Trump is a piece of shit. So that's a huge data point. Biden is winning people over 65. Democrats don't win people over 65, right? So like this isn't like a little bit of a swing. This is a massive go fuck yourself swing. And when we start to gauge in how like just the turnout numbers from the early, and again, turnout numbers might turn, right? Like what I'm saying is a suspicion. I wanted to drop the gauntlet.
I have something to say about that too. So
because there's a possibility, right? Like there's always a possibility that turnout for Trump is going to just be insane come November 3rd. That is a total possibility, right? And we have to be cool with that. It's just like everything that I'm seeing all over the place,
right,
suggests that in the same way and reason that the polls were wrong last time, they're going to be wrong this time, but for Biden, not for Trump.
So I want to zoom in on Pasco County for just a minute. I live in Pasco County, Florida, for those of you who are watching from elsewhere, which is just north of the Tampa Bay area. And the strategy for Democrats in Florida has always been what they call the I-4 corridor +2. That's everything from Tampa Bay to Jacksonville along the I-4 corridor, plus Dade and Broward counties. That's Miami and Fort Lauderdale. The idea was if we could win those counties, we could carry Florida because of the immense population centers along the I-4 corridor and down there in South Florida. But in 2016, I got hired to organize in Pasco County by a national organization that recognized that we now needed to start focusing on the outlying counties from those areas. And Pasco County was one of the prime I-4 adjacent counties. And here's the thing that's never happened before. Even we talk about Democrats having an advantage in early voting and vote by mail. Well, in Pasco County, Democrats have never, ever beaten Republicans in my county in vote by mail response in the actual percentage of ballots that made it back, that got filled out and turned back in. We have beat the Republicans in Pasco County on voter turnout in vote by mail. Remains to be seen. Our early voting here in Pasco doesn't start till Monday. I believe it's Monday. But that's a huge indicator. We went for Trump by 22 points in 2016. Pasco County went for Trump by 22 points. And to further up your point about voters over 65, the two undeniably monolithic turnout vectors in Florida have been African-American women and people over the age of 65. Right. And so that's translated into conservative voters because they tended to be voters over 65 tended to be more conservative than not. But we now know that voters over 65 are peeling off Trump at a pretty extraordinary rate. So that tells me that the whole idea that they're all going to show up on election day and vote for Trump, I don't think that's true. I think a lot more of those people that show up on election day are going to vote for Biden this time than we had expected even 3 months ago. So and it could still beat the crap out of us. It's absolutely true, but it's not looking like that. It's not looking like that to me. It's feeling very different from that. And I had some insight yesterday into how our local candidates are doing in Pasco County. And the last numbers that I saw 90 days ago, the Chamber of Commerce, the Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce did a voter survey. And the Chamber of Commerce tends to be a pretty conservative polling because business people tend to be more conservative. And Danny Antonino was doing very well against Amber Mariano. And Brandy Goyette was straight up kicking the shit out of Jack Mariano on that same poll. And I'm told the numbers are actually better since then. So let's see how that goes. But what you need to do if you live in my county is you need to fill out that ballot and send it back right now. You need to drop it off at the supervisor of elections office today. And if you need help filling out the ballot, this is a no shame zone. If you don't know about judiciary retention, if you don't know about mosquito control board and why it's important, you can message me and I'm going to give you everything you need to go on that.
No, it's okay. Kelly was just mentioning that her son Drew is watching and welcome. So he said, out of curiosity, Biden says he'll raise taxes for the few who make few $400,000 a year. I think, but at the same time, we'll abolish some of Trump's tax cuts. And again, the comment went away here. Basically, he answered this last night, right? There's, Trump is constantly trying to say, and it's bullshit. It's a lie that Biden is going to just repeal all of those tax cuts willy-nilly. It's really important to understand that in a $2 trillion package, taxes were cut for people and corporations making over $400,000 a year to the tune of $1.4 trillion, right? So a tiny number of ridiculously fucking rich people got $1.3 trillion of money. And then, of course, some tax cuts went to households that were, making $20,000 to $40,000 a year. That's real or whatever. Biden has said many times very clearly that if you are not making over $400,000 a year, he's not going to repeal those tax cuts. It is, vernacular. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the Trump tax cuts, as like a line. But anytime you dig underneath that, he's very, very clear about the details of that. And just understand what happened. $1.3 trillion got handed to fucking rich people, and while the entire country has been suffering. It's disgusting, and Biden will fix it.
I think also when I hear them try and say that taxes will go up for people that make less than that, they're conflating two different arguments. What they're basically saying is that if we take away those tax breaks for that 0.1% of people that make more than $400,000 a year, businesses will be forced to raise prices. So in a sense, that's a tax. If prices go up, you're going to pay more for the things that you buy at the store. And I get that argument, but I actually think that the net return is going to be better this way than what we're seeing now. Because frankly, if you don't change the way this tax structure works, then these companies can't hire more people. We're not going to have as much money to spend. Guess what poor people do with their money? They spend it. Right. They don't park it in tax shelters or offshore accounts. They spend it. They go out into the community and they spend that money at restaurants, at bars, buying appliances, buying cars. These are all things that happen in your local economy, and making that more available to people that make less than $400,000 a year. There's a lot more of us than there are them. And so that money goes right back into our economy locally. And I can't possibly see that as a bad thing. Yeah, and frankly, everybody I know, everybody in my corner says, I'll pay more in taxes if it means that we get healthcare for everybody. I'll pay more in taxes if it means UBI. I'll pay more in taxes. I don't want to spend our money. I want to reallocate how we spend what money we spend. I don't want to turn Palestinian kids into skeletons. I want my friends to have fucking healthcare.
Yeah,
that's the difference. It's how we're spending it that's a problem for me.
Agreed. Yeah, so Elizabeth said, why didn't prices go down when those corn-speckled turds got the tax break? Again, because look at the stock market. All you ever have to do is look at the stock market to see where people's money is going, and that's where it's and rich people. That's where their money's going. Oh snap! The Babs want some coffee that I made.
Hey, good morning, Susie McAnally. I hope you are feeling well. She just had another bout with the bar exam and a birthday. So happy birthday, Susan. I hope you're doing well. Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, it just occurred to me that Drew is one of Kelly's family, I believe.
Yeah, yep.
Nice to see you, Drew. I'm so well. I guess I should apologize to your mom for all the swearing. I'm not sure you mind.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I'm terrible. I own that. So yeah, there was another video I wanted to play, and I already had it queued up. So let's watch that.
The Biden plan would destroy protections for people.
Speaking of healthcare,
existing conditions.
Heartless.
Oh, God.
Heartless.
In the middle of a pandemic.
This is interesting to watch, isn't it?
Joe Biden wants to inflict a painful shutdown on the entire country. His shutdown would
This is
inflict
painful.
unthinkable and lasting harm
Painful just watching
on
it.
our
telling you.
nation's children.
He shut down the whole country. He is the king of shutdown
Yeah. And cover up.
and cover up.
The Biden plan would destroy protections for people with pre-existing conditions.
Do you believe this guy?
He's in court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act that you brought into being. If people have diabetes, high blood pressure, breast cancer, he's coming to
COVID-19.
them. He's
yeah. So I just wanted, because they're probably going to cover this, but this is why we get so fucking crazy pissed off about Trump. Trump saying, I'm going to help people with pre-existing conditions, and Biden is going to get rid of them. Biden is the reason why pre-existing conditions were protected in the ACA. Biden specifically was the reason that was in there. And Trump's lying through his fucking teeth. And that, of course, over time has driven us fucking completely crazy, because he keeps doing it over and over and over again. And right now, when they say that, they're in court trying to get rid of the ACA, they're in court trying to specifically get rid of the part in the ACA that has protections for pre-existing conditions, while that motherfucker stands up there and says that it's Biden who's trying to get rid of that. He's completely, utterly, totally full of shit.
going to take away their protections, all the protections that you created.
They're going to eliminate Affordable Care Act?
Heartless.
Oh, God.
Heartless.
In the middle of a pandemic.
I think it's a reckless disregard for human life.
Kamala Harris ran for president by rushing to the radical left, calling for trillions in new taxes.
We have been so clear about this. We will not raise taxes on anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year.
$1.3 trillion went to the top 1%. You're going to start paying your fair share. That's what she's talking about.
That's right.
Nobody, and I say it openly, and I'm not even criticized for it. Nobody has done more for the Black community than any president, I would say, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln.
Unbelievable. 1 in 1,000. That's the number of Black Americans that have died because of COVID-19, of which he knew. He was in possession of information back in January that it could kill people and didn't tell anybody. And now we're looking at, by the end of the year, if he doesn't get this under control, 1 in 500 Black people will die in America because of this virus that he...
That's equivalent to a massacre. I mean, and Abraham Lincoln. He's giving Lincoln a bad name.
Yeah, but he's the same guy who also was on that debate stage with you and refused to condemn white supremacists.
And I ask him to condemn, and he says, I tell him to stand down and stand by. Mr. President, words matter.
I mean, come on now.
First of all, how can you not like this pair of people? Like, what my comment last night that got a lot of likes, and yes, I'm enough of a narcissist to pay attention to that, was, won't it be nice to have dignity and humor in the White House again? Well, just that. Even if they, on policy, they're a failure. Just the idea that people actually give a shit and are humorous and can laugh at themselves and others. Oh, good. Kelly says, no need to watch your language because Drew is here. Remember, I'm his mother. See, most people have this idea
helpful
about Kelly that she would never say those things. But I don't think that's true. Just not in a microphone is the difference, I guess. Oh, yeah. He's done more for African Americans than any other president except maybe Lincoln. And Lyndon Johnson, maybe. You know, sure. The Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act.
Anyway.
Yeah, that didn't do anything for Black people.
Drew, when you say many, do you mean more than 5? Because I don't think so. Many high-profile Black Americans rappers say they openly support him. Why would they do that if he isn't
2.
doing anything for them? Yeah, it's 2.
And by the way, I want to talk about the Ice Cube thing for just a quick second. Say he actually met with both teams. He met with the Biden-Harris team and with the Trump-Pence team to talk about how he could engage. And one side didn't say anything about it. The other side bragged about it. Well, so basically, I think Ice Cube got victimized by the Trump-Pence campaign is what happened here. Like what Trump does to every other African-American who's ever spoken up for him. He threw them right under the bus as soon as it was convenient. He made their lives more difficult, not better, on an individual basis.
Yeah. If it's 5, and this is the thing, there is only one piece of credit that I think we can give the Trump administration, and that's the work on criminal justice reform, all of which he had absolutely nothing to do with. It was just put in front of him. It's not like he pushed it. It's not like he talked about it, except as a siloed attempt to peel off Black voters, right? So, and again, this was something that has been worked on for a really, really long time. So that's a real thing. So again, if there's 5, great, right? If you look at the actual record of it, the guy won't condemn white supremacists, the same white supremacists that are literally bringing guns into the into the legislature in Michigan and the same people threatening to kidnap the governor of Michigan because she's done a lockdown, the lockdowns that actually fucking work on the pandemic that he fucking lied about, right? So it just, I don't give a fuck what those 5 rich assholes think. That's
the other thing and sometimes I want to be careful about this because I am a privileged middle-aged white man, but those are wealthy people you're talking about, and it's in this moment, it's about wealth more than it is about race in this specific pinpoint of the whole issue. It's their privilege. It's their wealth privilege talking.
Well, and I guess this is an interesting thing too, right? Because like we bring up the won't condemn white supremacist thing, and people who are Trump adjacent or Trump apologists will say, "Well, he's got a lot of Black support. Does he really? Show me a poll." Right now, does he have slightly more Black support than Mitt Romney? I think that might be true. Right? There's a lot of frustration out there, and that's real. And I think Biden has spoken to that fairly eloquently over the last year. So, what's the point? Are you trying to say that like there are some Black people that have been hoodwinked into, wanting to side with a guy who literally is accepting and encouraging the support of white nationalists? That's happening. I'm not sure you really want to bring that up as positive because it's not. It's fucking ridiculous. And when he says, "Oh, I've done more than anyone for Black people since Lincoln," he's fucking lying and making everyone who supports him look like a fucking idiot. So like if that's how people want to play it, you can, right? But again, to people that are actually paying attention, you're going to look like a fool.
Yeah. So I had an ad I wanted to play this morning.
Okay.
Let me find this. Let me figure out how to do all this because I've forgotten because I don't do it very often. Let's see. Screen 1. Yeah, that's this. Share audio. That's that. Be careful sharing screen audio. Other participants will hear themselves. What? That's weird. Okay. This is I think maybe the most important of the Lincoln Project ads that I've yet seen. Go on. It's called Girl in the Mirror.
Imagine a young girl looking in the mirror, searching for role models in the world to give her hope that one day she too can make a difference. Now imagine how she feels when she watches women being verbally attacked.
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
Maligned.
And this monster that was on stage with Mike Pence, who destroyed her last night, by the way.
Belittled.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
Harassed.
Blood coming out of her, wherever.
Insulted.
And I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say,
Your daughters are listening and absorbing that message right in front of your eyes. Now imagine a different future for her. A future with a president who doesn't just value a female voice, but chooses one to be his right-hand woman. A strong woman. A woman with compassion. A woman unafraid to take on a bully.
And I want to add, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
A woman who not only believes in the American dream, she embodies it. Imagine that little girl in the mirror, because that little girl is yours. And your actions on November 3rd will define who she sees. Vote for change. Vote for her. The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I mean, yeah.
I have daughters. Both of my daughters cast their first presidential vote for Barack Obama. 4 years apart, one in 2008, one in 2012. And that ad hit me right in the chest because on the day after the election in 2016, as bad as I felt, as turbulent as I felt about what had happened, my daughters were devastated. My oldest daughter felt attacked and has been scared ever since about her future and what it means to be a woman in a country that would elect Donald J. Trump president of the United States. So I thought that was an important thing for us to watch this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So,
Yep.
wow. I took all the air out of the room.
I just like there.
Greg Smithwick, killer of joy.
Not really. I mean, the idea is, you know, I have been without optimism in my heart for a while, right? And I try to, like, you know, my going to the polls and my looking for data, all of this is trying to find my optimism because, you know, any of you who have known me for a long time, optimism is kind of my jam. But recently, you know, what do we have to be fucking optimistic about it? We just don't. It's not there. And it's coming back a little bit. And again, like, it might be too soon, right? I'm not, you know, 100% predicting a result. I think there's a lot of encouraging news, and that it just, there is a possibility. And now I'm holding on to that possibility, right? There's a possibility that we could just go back to talking about facts and the people that lie being shamed so much that they get run out of office. That's kind of how it used to be. And Republicans have been, right? Republicans have been denying climate change for a long time. Their Supreme Court justice is doing exactly the same thing, right? So, like, it's not like we haven't seen little bits of this before, but they at least had the capacity for shame because they thought that there was a feedback loop where, you know, support would peel off. So this has to happen. It has to be a landslide. It has to be a renunciation of becoming an autocracy, becoming a tin pot dictatorship where there's a lying piece of garbage talking about having 5 terms in office because that's just fucking funny and it'll own the libs.
And dozens of others in the House and Senate supporting him, giving him leeway because of the court picks. Yeah. Oh, Ash, I love you.
Right? It's not optimism we need. It's joy in the storm, and joy embraces the storm. You're just right about that.
I was thinking last night when I was watching, you know, in the after image of the 2 town halls. This has been happening to me for about 36 hours now, and I imagine that there's going to be an overwhelming emotional release on November 4th if we pull this off. Like I have a sense that this is a really special moment, and James Carville wrote a piece yesterday for the Bulwark that I should actually look up and read to all of you because it's exactly how I'm feeling in this moment. And James Carville's just a better speaker than I am. And I feel really good about where we are today. Not always the easiest thing for me to admit, but there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, Drew, if he lies so much, how come we can't get him out? We're going to. That's the plan. And it's not if, right? If you go and look at any of the data at all, every time he opens his mouth, and I'm not being hyperbolic about this, every time he opens his mouth, if he says 3 things, 2 of them are fucking bullshit. Provable, utterly bullshit. What's really fucking scary is that 30% of the people in this country have decided that isn't real. Yeah. And it's insane. Right? Like, the second he came out and said, oh, we have the biggest crowd size in the world, you fucking didn't, right? We just know that's bullshit. And so, you know, I get that there's like cognitive dissonance there. How is this possible, right? Especially like this is the first time you're paying attention to politics. It's fucking crazy. It's stupid. It's insane. There's no reason why adults should be this fucking stupid. But the problem is there is a lot of adults who are. And they believe it when Trump lies 10 times a day, 20 times a day, 20,000 times in 4 years. Not like maybe lies because the Washington Post is writing them down. Provable total fucking lies. And yeah, it's making all of us crazy. And so we have to actually get out and vote and pay attention and don't get hoodwinked or gaslit by, you know, an entire side population of people that are willing to basically lie to each other and to themselves. Should we talk about not renouncing QAnon now, or
I kind of want to read the the James Carville piece. Do you mind?
That's why I sent it to you, because it does kind of do. Let's do it. Let's go there.
All right.
I like it.
So for those of you who don't know who James Carville is, he is a longtime Democratic political activist. One of the reasons we had a president, Bill Clinton, and sort of his superpower is he's a moderate, but he recognizes a moment when it happens. So this is the piece he wrote for the Bulwark the other day, which is a political analysis website. In 1948, I almost want to read it in his voice, but I can't. In 1948, General Dwight D. Eisenhower released an expansive memoir that transcribed his personal account as Supreme Allied Commander in Europe during World War II, the single most important American military official in the war. My mom has this set of books. He chronicled the travail of the war in its bitter totality. Men sunk beneath waves of bullets in unbroken battle. The immeasurable sorrow levied as hundreds of thousands perished for their countries. The fateful decision he took, in which he accepted complete responsibility, most importantly, the decision for the D-Day invasion. At the same time, Eisenhower also wrote of what was indomitable about Americans and how the country overcame and rang freedom's bell for a world enveloped by the forces of darkness. Eisenhower titled the memoir Crusade in Europe. Now, I acknowledge the word crusade may hold conflicting definitions and interpretations, some of which may refresh stories of the medieval, but used as a verb, according to the most basic dictionary definition, to crusade is to lead or take part in an energetic and organized campaign concerning a social, political, or religious issue. There is a reason Eisenhower did not title his book War in Europe. Beyond the bayonets and the bloodshed and the carnage, Eisenhower declared to America that what they had just done, the stand they took together against evil, despite any internal divisions, was something more elegant and profound than could be carried in the word war. It was something noble. I know it's difficult for so many of us to feel hope in this moment, which seems so incomprehensibly dark. We are a nation deeply wounded from a liberated virus. We're struggling with systemic racism, and we've endured lashing mental abuse time and again from the President of the United States. But it is not a darker moment than what Ike saw when he looked across the English Channel on June 6, 1944 at the continent of Europe, dominated by the Nazis. So I see a light ahead, just days away, a unified and electrified coalition of Americans coming together like our country did in World War II, standing united to send a message that will be heard around the world to all those who look with expected hope to the America that led the crusade more than half a century ago. That America has not succumbed to a demagogue and would-be autocrat, that we have overcome, and that Donald J. Trump is not who we are. In just a short time, America will go from its darkest hour to its finest. Very seldom in American history have there been periods when people can nobly wage a crusade to create real and lasting change. But when these crusades do occur, when those moments arrive, what we do to vanquish the threat to freedom builds something everlasting into the framework of our society. The American Revolution, the Civil War, World War II, Seneca Falls, Stonewall, and Selma were all historical flashpoints where Americans displayed their patriotism against oppressive forces in a resounding way. These movements overthrew an empire, ended slavery, staved off totalitarianism, and paved the way for the establishment of fundamental civil rights and liberties for women, LGBTQ+, and Black Americans. We find ourselves again at such a turning point. Donald Trump's authoritarian presence behind the Resolute desk is among the gravest threats America has ever faced from within, and Americans have risen to meet this threat. This resistance has created its own seismic shift. Look at the rallying cries for racial justice coming from Americans of all colors who have joined in arms to speak out. Look at the willingness of voters to wait for hours in lines in Georgia to exercise their democratic right to the franchise. Look at the coalition that has been formed from Republicans to Democrats to activists who are determined to stand up to this threat. We are constantly told that America is too divided, too hopelessly stricken by tribalism to come together anymore. Well, I'm here to proclaim that this received wisdom is just plain wrong. If you were to run a cable wire through the heart of America right now, you would see an image of an exceedingly diverse coalition of people who challenged that assumption at its core. You'd see it in suburban women from a once Republican stronghold in Maricopa County, Arizona, standing alongside a retired grandfather in Florida, a college student in Brooklyn, a Latina mother in Raleigh, a black computer programmer in Houston, and yes, standing alongside even a former Trump voter in Wisconsin who has now changed his mind. This coalition is exactly why an incumbent president is on the precipice of a catastrophic defeat, because this is more than a campaign. This is a crusade for America. Long after Trump is gone, this unity forged in his opposition should be remembered. My participation on this site, which is operated by many of my former Republican rivals, is evidence of this unity in and of itself. This article posted right here is evidence that this is a moment that carries extraordinary consequences, much more profound than victory or defeat for any single candidate. Like the majority of people that read this news site, I am white and affluent, and you know what else? I love my country. Collectively, what I know to be true among so many like us is that we understand we have existed on an advantaged and privileged perch in our slice of America. But if you're like me, you've been haunted by the fact that because of this privilege, many of us have never, in the late John Lewis's words, made enough good trouble or fought hard enough in the good fight. Now, maybe that's because, quite frankly, many of our own backs have never really been against the wall. What this moment has done for all of us, for all those who have sat on the sidelines of history or never were presented with something that held as much gravitas, is that it has given us, for one fleeting moment, the moment we're living in right now, a sense of common purpose of which we will be able to recall forever, that when our country and our republic were on the brink of collapse, when our fellow Americans needed us, we took a blowtorch to our past differences, our former conflicts, and our old rivalries, and we fought together. In less than 2 weeks, I will be 76 years old. I was a boy raised near some of the poorest banks of the Mississippi River, and now I've had the overwhelming honor to help elect senators, governors, and my dear friend Bill Clinton as president of the United States. I've seen my face flash across the silver screen too many times and have flown around the world twice over practicing the profession I love. All of this was wildly unimaginable to that little boy skipping rocks in Louisiana 70 years ago. But as I sit here, wonderstruck in retrograde, I could say with certainty that in all my years joining in this crusade to take America back from the brink of destruction is the greatest thing that I've ever been a part of in my life. This crusade is something noble. Wonderstruck in retrograde. Thank you, James.
Yep. Well, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln,
you know, earlier today,
how was this show?
Earlier in the show, I started to say Texas may be a bullet in the brain of this, and I was just like, yeah, that's probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, I want to go back to being a fan of the U.S. again. And I think a lot of people, including myself, right, were asleep in 2016. And we're speaking hypothetically about the threat of having, you know, a psychotic, narcissistic shithead as a president. But we just didn't believe that it was possible. We didn't believe there was any way that it was possible. And so we've been making up for it, you know, almost every day since. You know, doing this show, working with local candidates, working with, you know, candidates everywhere, all over the place. Anybody who wanted to work with us, we would do it. We're doing everything we possibly can because to us, having a lying piece of shit in the White House is unacceptable.
Not just a lying piece of shit. A lying piece of shit who has cost 200,000+ American lives. And last night continued to say not just dishonest, but dangerous, fatal things about the moment we're in. That 85% of people who wear masks get COVID. How does that help anybody survive this pandemic? How does that help anyone? And when I get preached at about, oh, you should not be so divisive. Hey, fuck off. Because we know what we're uniting against, and it's sad and scary that you don't. It's sad and scary that you think whatever economic or socioeconomic benefit you get from your little perch pedestal of white privilege makes you blind to the people in this thread who have been persecuted for their beliefs, for their sexuality, for their socioeconomic standing, for their pre-existing conditions, for their poverty. Fuck you. If you can't see that their need is greater than yours, you've missed the entire point of being an American in the 20th and 21st centuries. You've just missed it. I don't ever want to hear you talk about how cool Star Trek and Star Wars are.
And they do, and they don't get it at all.
How are you not getting it?
Yeah, I don't know. So we do need to talk about the QAnon stuff, but let's tie into this. Let me know if I hit the button. Hold on here. Come on now. Might have to do this.
Just this week, you retweeted to your 87 million followers a conspiracy theory that Joe Biden orchestrated to have SEAL Team 6, the Navy SEAL Team 6, killed to cover up the death of bin Laden.
Okay. The president of the United States, troll in chief, retweeted a conspiracy theory that Biden had SEAL Team 6, who is alive.
Oh, it's like 40 or 50 of them. So
right, exactly, right. Like they're doing all right. Had them killed to cover up the fact that Osama bin Laden is still alive. Okay.
Now, why would you send a lie like that to your followers? You retweeted
That was a retweet. That was an opinion of somebody, and that was a retweet. I'll put it out there. People can decide for themselves.
You're the president. You're not like someone's crazy uncle.
to which Mary Trump said, well,
actually, that was a retweet, and I do a lot of retweets. And frankly, because the media is so fake and so corrupt.
For anyone listening who doesn't know this, everyone from Hitler to Mussolini to Stalin, to maintain power, they immediately start attacking the press. Every time he attacks the press, understand that he's trying to become a tin pot dictator and completely destroy democracy. That is not hyperbole, it is fact.
If I didn't have social media, I don't call it Twitter, I call it social media, I wouldn't be able to get the word out. And the word is, and you know what the word is? The word is very simple. We're building our country stronger and better than it's ever been before. And that's what's happening.
200,000 people dead. Only the rich people are making money.
And everybody knows it.
Okay. Just this week, you retweeted to your 87 million followers a conspiracy theory.
Anyway, so that's a thing. Again, like if people watch that and they're like, oh, I totally think we should just like, that's fine. I mean,
so I want to directly address once Bill O'Dell in the comments, who posted a triggered typical Democrat post. Yeah, you know what triggers me? You know what triggers me? Fascism fucking triggers me. Fascism and authoritarianism trigger the fuck out of me because my grandfather and all of my great uncles fought to contain it and to eradicate it. And here it is in our fucking country. And if you're not offended by that, fuck right off. Now you can.
I did. Yeah, so getting in trouble for I guess, Drew, like if you don't get this, and that's okay. Like he's got 87 million followers, a lot of them who are psychos who have already committed murder, based on the QAnon conspiracy, right? So him retweeting that is the height of fucking irresponsibility. It just really, really is, right? It gives an air of credibility to something that's completely and totally insane. And it's in line with all of the times that he lies like a complete fucking nutter. It doesn't matter if it's an opinion. It's coming from the president of the United States.
I mean,
right?
I'm not saying that I witnessed Jack Mariano licking doorbells. I just retweeted it.
Yeah.
Because other people are saying it. I'll let you make up your mind whether you think Jack Mariano, county commissioner, who is running to save his career from the awesome Brandy Goyette, actually licks doorbells when he walks around his neighborhood in Beacon Woods. I'll let you figure out whether you think that's true or not. I'm just saying it because I'm just putting it out there.
We don't know. People are saying
possible. Ted Cruz could indeed be the Zodiac killer.
I've heard that.
Right.
So, man,
Casey Vance, Dan Antonino's fiance, she hates that whole idea. He's not old enough. She gets really legitimately mad when you bring up Ted Cruz being the Zodiac killer, which is why I bring it up every time I talk to her.
That's so awesome.
It's like making puns around you. It has the same.
I love her even more now.
That's like shooting heroin directly into my veins when that happens.
Yeah, it's just, and again, like, would I like to see a law that, and honestly, this kind of exists in Canada. You get censured if you spread misinformation as a politician. It's also illegal for Fox News to exist in Canada because you can't lie on TV without getting fined 1 million times per time without correcting it as aggressively as you said it. So yeah, I mean, I would love to see that happen, but it's, what are you gonna do?
Drew, I'm more mad that he didn't confirm or deny the presence of aliens at Area 51. I will 100% vote Biden if he vows to lay that to rest. Yeah, but even if he said, no, it's 100% certain that they don't exist, people would be like, yeah, sure. That's just what they want you to think.
Well, and this is the thing.
That's the beauty of a conspiracy theory.
And that's why, I wanted to talk about the QAnon stuff anyway, because the conspiracy theory thing is huge, right? Trump is playing that in because part of his base are people that believe in conspiracy theories. Please understand, this is absolutely meant to be insulting. People who believe in conspiracy theories are fucking stupid. They're fucking stupid. There is evidence to the contrary all over the place. Yeah. And what's really messed up is like when you put a bunch of those people in a room, when you put a bunch of those people in a room on the internet, they basically reinforce each other, right? Because if you have one person who believes that literally, and this is QAnon, literally all Democrats and all people in the press, because of what Trump has been fucking spewing for 3-4 years, whatever it is, they should all be executed because they're drinking the blood of babies, right? Those are the people that he didn't renounce actively and said, well, they hate pedophilia. Okay, right? So he's playing into that. And that is not only causing just a bunch of people to get totally radicalized and kicked out of their families, and they should be quarantined away from normal, not crazy people.
Let's be careful.
I'm dead serious, because the more, and especially on like social media, the more they're allowed to talk to other people, the more potential there is to find people who are radicalized to send pipe bombs to all sorts of reporters and politicians, which is exactly what happened in 2016, 2017, right? People will die. People will actually get killed. There's a guy who walked into the pizza restaurant with a fucking AR-15 and started threatening to kill everyone there because he thought there was a pedophilia ring in the fucking basement.
Run by Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're all lizard people. Like that. Just anytime that you find something that is purporting anything, demand evidence. And we talk about this show on this show all the time. Demand evidence. Go watch Cosmos. Go watch it 10 times. You want to find out, what this is supposed to look like when you're not just diving down conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I also wanted to share this tweet. This is my complete and total view on the whole Hunter Biden story. This is from Stone Kettle, Jim Wright, who is one of my favorite human beings. I really want to drive to the Panhandle and buy him a bottle of whiskey. I don't care if Hunter Biden got blown by an entire cheerleading squad of Ukrainian hookers on top of a block of heroin the size of the Houston Astrodome. If you wanted me to be mad about foreign entanglements, you should have done something about Trump. But it left out the part where he said wearing a hat made of murdered kittens, which I thought was pretty good stuff. Yeah, it's a non-starter. It's just another pile of bullshit.
Yeah, so, the Democrat-run cities being having high-ass crime rates. Look at cities are generally run by Democrats because we let Republicans run rural towns that are just all white people. Number one, so there's something called a selection bias where if most cities are run by Democrats, then cities are where crime is because population density is what causes crime, not Democrats, right?
And people want to live in cities where they think they'll be cared for. At least there'll be social support system. It
has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Democrats are in the cities and the fact that cities just have higher crime rates. But if you're a lying piece of fucking garbage, you would just say that it's the Democrat cities doing that, and then you would say in public out loud that he's totally cool if Democratic cities get COVID because they're just shitty and they didn't vote for me, right? So again, like if you want to rebel, get into punk. Right? Like do something fucking ridiculous, whatever. But backing this guy will be the worst and most pathetic decision that you make in your young life. And I personally believe that you can do much, much better. And again, your mom is fucking fantastic when it comes to Democratic politics. And I'm sure you have to hear about it all the time. And I'm sure that's annoying. Don't do this. Don't do this.
Hey, I saw a tweet by Rory Cooper, who is not the governor of North Carolina. That's Roy Cooper. Saw the Trump camp complaining about NBC questions, so I looked them up. When did you get sick? Should you wear a mask? Do you believe in herd immunity? Why share a bin Laden conspiracy? Do you denounce QAnon? Will you accept losing? Boy, those are unfair questions, huh?
Didn't they ask Biden what he would do if he lost as well?
They did. And his answer was really sweet and warm. It was, I'd probably go back to teaching college, which is what I've been doing.
Yeah, Dave. I don't even want to amplify that, but it's a whole thing. Speaking of the completely incoherent, mentally incapacitated, senile old man that is Biden.
I think you do too as well. The words of a president, George, you and I know, and I think you do too as well. The words of a president matter.
Absolutely.
No matter whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, they matter. And when a president doesn't wear a mask or makes fun of folks like me when I was wearing a mask for a long time, then people say, well, it mustn't be that important. But when a president says, I think this is very important, for example, I walked in here with this mask, but I have one of the N95 masks underneath it. I left it in my dressing room, the room I was in before I got here. And so I think it matters what we say. And we're now learning that children are getting the virus, not with as serious consequences, but there's been no studies done yet on vaccines for children. So there's a long way to go, but we can make progress in the meantime and save lives. And last point I'll make, if you listen to the head of the CDC, he stood up and he said, while we're waiting for a vaccine, and he held up a mask. You wear this mask, you'll save more lives between now and the end of the year than if we had a vaccine. It's estimated by every major study done from the University of Washington to Columbia that if in fact we wore masks, we could save between now and the end of the year 100,000 lives.
And avoid lockdowns?
And avoid lockdown, yeah.
So if you're Biden is so reasonable. It's true. That's a thing. That's real.
You want to kill that?
Yep.
Okay. So Drew, it's funny because these are questions that I've been addressing, in my timeline for months now. Okay. So why are the BLM, Antifa, and other organizations destroying businesses and looting shit?
Information you're getting from a liar.
96% of all Black Lives Matter protests in this country have been peaceful. And furthermore, the more you read about revolutionary movements over time, you'll find that often, and in fact, in Minnesota, I can point you out to a really great set of writings about this specific topic. The controlling authoritarian body, in this case, the Minnesota State Police, the Minneapolis Police Department, the U.S. federal agents, have instigated violence and made it look like it was being committed by the protesting group. There's a factual history of that in the state of Minnesota. When we're talking about Minneapolis and the George Floyd protests, we know for a fact that the two arrests that have been made in Minneapolis for destruction of property were actually instigators. They were not members of the Black Lives Matter movement. And I will remind you, Antifa is not an organization. It's an idea. It's anti-fascism, and it's a good fucking idea. And we've committed heinous acts of violence against a lot of Europe to stop fascism. We killed a lot of fascists in Europe, and a lot of violence ensued in artillery shells and bombs and rifle bullets. That's what happened. But if you really want to know about this topic, there's a book by Peter Mathiasson called The Spirit of Crazy Horse, and it's about the American Indian movement and their existence in the 60s and 70s, particularly one member named Leonard Peltier, who's serving life in prison for murdering an FBI agent. There's actually no direct evidence connecting him to that murder. He was present in the area that day. It is pretty clear that somebody else killed that particular federal agent. But my point is, in Minnesota, where they set up the first survival school for Native Americans to relearn their language and their culture, they were often people were attacked, and it was pinned on them to make them go away. So this idea that BLM and Antifa are committing acts of violence, looting, burning, are there individuals at those rallies that are so angry that they burn shit down? Yup, that's a true thing. That really happens. But Martin Luther King told us something important about that. He told us that he could not condone that kind of violence, but that a riot was the language of the unheard. And I want you to internalize that. That when nothing else works, when you ask your mom 100 times for something and she doesn't respond, what do? You accelerate the vehemence in your request. You might stomp around the house, bang on the table, slam a door, stomp around, bump, 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 angry. You get angry. When you don't get your way, you get angry. And when people have been fighting for the right to exist peacefully and to vote and not be disadvantaged or killed by a draconian authoritarian system, not your mom, this is what happens. It doesn't mean that we have to be okay with it or excited about the violence. It means we have to understand that what's underlying the violence is a much deeper issue of their very existence and the deaths of their sons and daughters. If the cops killed my daughter because she parked wrong, or because she was selling loose cigarettes at the park, or because she mouthed off to a cop, I would burn the fucking city of Newport Richey to the ground. And decades and centuries of that kind of treatment of people of color is why that looting and rioting happens. So yeah. Did I overshoot there?
No. Like that's the basic idea. Yeah, exactly. Hold on, please hold.
But in many okay, yeah, thank you. In many cases, though, that was just soup for my family.
Yeah, just soup, just little soup cans for the family. Yeah, the CDC mask thing, Drew. Like, if you want to be a troll, be a troll. If you want to get data on what the CDC said about masks, go look it up. That's a knowable fact, and it says everything about your media diet that you're asking that question. And you know, it's really, really easy to find out what happened there. Anyway, so yeah, it's like 11:15. What else we got?
I don't know. I'm good.
All right.
I'm putting the name of the book in here for Drew. I have a copy of this book. If I can get it to your mom, she can hand it off to you. Peter Mathiasson is one of my favorite authors. He wrote the greatest novel about Florida ever written, called Killing Mr. Watson, and he's a literature writer. So yeah, hey Drew, yeah, really, Lori's saying thank you for listening. Drew, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, I'm
not surprised that you're here, and I'm glad you're here.
Okay, sure. If that's true, that's great. I'm not at all certain that it is, but we'll see. Yeah, no, I mean, if it's not obvious, we usually just kick Trump supporters out. But your family, and it's been.
Oh, see, I don't see this that way. I see this differently. I see that what happened is, I'm sure Drew's mom has been telling him all these things for months.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
he
sure,
just
right?
needed to hear them from other people besides mom.
Yeah, I mean, we're not famous rappers, so sorry about that, I guess. Yeah, no, and it's these questions we've been fielding from adults, from like adult humans that are supposed to be smart. And I guess that's the one thing that you're going to find out this season is like literally, out of every adult you meet, 1/3 of them, 1 out of 3 adults is going to be a fucking clown, like just a total fucking idiot. And that's weird when you find that out. It's weird for me still. Like the whole idea that there are adults that I have legitimately respected in my life that are buying this unmitigated dog shit from Trump. And not only that, but like literally like buying into the white nationalist, like soft core white suburban bullshit. It'll break your heart when you see it, right? Like that, the frustration and the ridiculousness. Like I get that it doesn't look like it makes any sense. It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense at all, which is why I yell on the internet. Because,
yeah.
Vote, God damn it.
All
Anyways,
right. We ready to wrap this up?
Yeah.
I'm going to go on an adventure day with Mishi. We're going to go out to the park and get some barbecue and stuff like that today.
Oh, shit.
What?
Fucking Brad. The author of the New York Post article.
Yes.
This is her Instagram. Recognize that guy?
Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon. Aw.
Oh.
Oh,
Sean
and look at
Hannity.
that. Shit turtle.
Roger Stone.
Yeah. And Breitbart. Now,
Yep.
if you needed to know anything else,
There we go.
now you know.
There you go. Kelly Smith. Exactly why watching today is part of Drew's homeschool curriculum. Oh, my God. You poor kid. I know he wants to learn. He has a brilliant mind, just needs a better social media diet. There you go.
Well, and to discern, like, and this is the thing that I want everyone to do. Like, if you disagree with anything that I say, ask me for evidence, because I'll go get it. Real evidence. And that's the one thing that if you talk to Trump supporters or anyone who listens to Steve Bannon or anyone who listens to Breitbart, if you ask them to go after evidence, they will not be able to find you any because it doesn't exist.
Wow. Yeah. I'm just blown away that Cher thought that Kelly thought we'd be good teachers.
Yeah, that's crazy talk.
Yeah, just ignore what I said about heroin and everything will be fine. All right,
Anyway.
man. Let's get out of here. Let's get on with this.
All right.
Sasquatch.
Cosmos,
Oh, wait, what? What?
Just like Kelly was saying, he's got a brilliant mind. Man, watch Cosmos. Watch it all. Watch it 10 times.
Yes.
That's where brilliant minds go, not this dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Anyway, what did you want to say about your pet conspiracy theory?
Sasquatch is real.